We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It is Monday. When you listen to this, we're recording Sunday night. We're not live on TikTok or Substack or YouTube. We're sitting in our normal seats for the Rational Boomer podcast. And we have a guest today, a favorite of many of you, especially if you like to get riled up a little bit. We've got Will coming in hot, as always. Will's Will was on a live recently, and a
Well,
Trumplefuck happened in, and Will got a little riled up on that. That kind of ticked you off, didn't it?
he was expected.
Yeah,
The first guy, no, that guy was an arrogant prick,
yeah.
and I could tell when I brought up immigration when he started smiling. That's what pissed me off because that's you're a 70-year-old white lawyer. You don't give a fuck. You really don't.
Well,
The
you're
Trump
talking
of
about
fuck. Yeah, I'm talking
you're
about What's his name? Go ahead.
you're talking about Richard Green, and he's a creator
Yeah,
on TikTok, and I know him, and I like the guy, but he does like to throw some fear into it. And I'm deadly against trying to make people afraid because I don't think that helps. I think that's exactly what Donald Trump and the Trumplifucks want us to do. They want us to be afraid and to encourage or cultivate that. I think that's the wrong approach. I'm not
yeah.
talking about that one.
Oh no,
Richard
the last guy.
riles
Oh
me
yeah,
up.
that guy
The
was
Trumplifuck.
that guy. Yeah, that guy was. He was what he was. He was. I mean, let's face it. They are who they are. It doesn't matter what's going to happen in the future. They're still going to be Trump. They're going to love Trump. I mean,
Yeah.
now it's why aren't grocery prices going down? Well, it's going to take some time. He said that. I remember
Yeah.
that. It's going to take some. Really. And you caught him. You said that. Well, I thought he said it was going to be instantaneous. No, it's not. I mean, Trump's talking about he wants gas to be what 150. He's going to write an executive. You can't. And as Mr. Global, who is a great follow on TikTok, who's a real smart man when it comes to oil business, he said in order to do that, oil has to be $20 a barrel. That means there's no production. Oil companies will cement wells if the price of a barrel of oil doesn't cover
Right.
production. And then and you can't do that. And
Mr.
it's
Global
just
also
insane.
said that if we did that, you'd probably lose 150,000 jobs too. So if
Yeah,
that's the way you want to
exactly.
go with it, fucking
Yeah,
brilliant.
you saw the same video I did because yeah, he's right because then it's manufacturing. It's a mess. And right now we're losing jobs now. Jobs that people are being laid off in anticipation of what's going on. Um, and they're trying to spin it already. I mean, there's some people saying, well, there are jobs being added. The fucking JD Vance said that the other
Yeah.
day, today. I'm going, where? And it's all this. Don't give me that AI bullshit. That's all fake. That's fake bullshit. That no one's gonna. There's no manufacturing jobs. And he pulled the plug on infrastructure jobs. He pulled the plug on the Biden infrastructure jobs. He's going to stop projects in fucking that are already being done. Money already allotted for it. Why? Because he didn't do it. Biden did it, and he's going to come up with a new plan instead of writing with it, which keeps the economy, he's got to put a stamp on. Fuck, he could say he did it later, but he
Yeah.
stopped it because he's a petty fucker. And the problem with him being petty, we're all going to pay the price. It is insane. This man he's crazy. He's absolutely out of his fucking mind. And I can say that, and I'll probably get the Secret Service showing up because you know what happened in Chicago, right? At that school.
Yeah. Tell us about
That
that
was
because that was
that
weird.
wasn't that wasn't ICE. We all thought it was ICE. It turned out to be Secret Service. Why? Because an 11-year-old kid made a post on his whatever, not liking Trump. So they sent Secret Service agents to the school to find him. Well, excuse me, he's 11. And
He's
then,
a
well,
fucking Levin.
yeah, and then to even to piggyback on that, Tom Hoffman was talking to I don't know CNN or Face the Nation, one of the other Sunday shows, and he asked him, "Why are you going to send them to schools?" His quote: "Well, there are MS-13 gang members that are 13 years old." Motherfucker, no, don't give me this bullshit. You just want to spread terror. This is
But
what
you have
it's
to.
Go ahead.
What you have to understand about Donald Trump, he's a destructor. That's all he does. He's the kid you have in school that only breaks his toys. He doesn't build anything, he doesn't create anything. It's all about noise, it's all about performance. He doesn't care if he really even does anything, just so he can say he did it, and hopefully some people will believe it. Now, I wanted to talk to you about what happened last night. Um, is a big
Colombia.
story. Yeah, Colombia. And it's an
Mhm.
absolutely ridiculous story. So Donald Trump loads up some illegal immigrants onto a plane, which is costing them ridiculous amounts of money. And they have a shortage of planes. So they got all kinds of problems. They send it down to Colombia. I don't even know if they gave them notice that it was coming. So
They
here's
didn't.
this military airplane going into Colombia airspace and says, we're going to drop these guys off. And the Colombian president, Petro, says, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. And it wasn't that he wasn't going to accept refugees or illegal immigrants. He just said what other people have said, like Mexico, you need a process to treat these
Due
people with
process.
dignity.
Yeah.
They're not criminals that you can throw on a plane and send someplace else. So Petro turns him away. And what does Donald Trump do? Donald Trump gets angry because somebody told him no. Somebody told him no. And then he immediately says, all right, we're going to put 25% tariffs on everything coming out of Colombia. We're going to get a travel ban. And and then, of course, Colombia says, okay, we'll put tariffs on your shit too. Now, if you're probably saying to yourself, Colombia, what could we possibly get out of
Well,
Colombia
that's
that
what
would be a big
Trump's
deal?
thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he's thinking. Coffee, pharmaceuticals, plastic, oil, a lot
Mhm.
of important shit that needs to be sold here. Now, I'm not saying you can't get it from other places, but by the time Donald Trump's done, he's going to put tariffs on everybody and they're going to put tariffs on us. And this is all a bunch of a mess that's going to cause people problems simply because somebody told Donnie fucking no. That
And the
little
thing,
pussy ass bitch.
and his the president's the Colombian president's letter back to Trump was pretty hardcore. He called him out for his racism, but his point was, and later on I have read that he did send a Colombian plane to pick up these people
Yeah.
to to uh, to bring them back to Colombia with some dignity. And that's the thing. There is no fucking due process in this thing. If they're criminals going to another country, there should be extradition. There should be laws. There's a process. They have jumped over all the process, and no one is objecting. No one in Congress is objecting. The
Well, they're
Democrats are
objecting. They're just
saying,
not doing anything about it.
and no one and someone needs to step up and stop, but they can't do it because they're so afraid. Democrats are afraid of speaking out on this immigration thing or do anything about it or calling up someone to do something about it because they don't want to see weak on immigration in the next election.
Right.
So they'll let them go into hospitals, they'll let them go in fucking schools, and then drag people out and then just ship them like they're fucking Amazon packages. There is no due process. And let's be frank, Donald Trump has effectively revoked habeas corpus for people, and that
Yeah.
includes citizens. And explain to me, everyone of you MAGA persuasion, where do the Navajo people fit into this? I mean, you're
That
picking
is,
up Navajo people, and they're arguing in court. They're arguing in court because Navajos are not happy, Navajo Nation, that they're not birthright citizens. Okay, the Navajo people. The only question I have, where the fuck are you going to deport them to?
well, and the thing
There's nowhere to
is
deport them. It's just insane.
Navajo Indians are the opposite of illegal immigrants by a long shot. But even if you just look at it as I'm a white man, I was born in America. My parents were born in America, and my grandparents were born in America. So I'm as much a citizen as you can possibly be. I'm not a birthright guy or anything. These Navajo Indians, parents and grandparents and great grandparents were born in this country. Now, the only thing I think they think they might be able to argue is if they live on the reservation, that's a sovereign nation. It's kind of separate from America. It's a separate uh, jurisdiction. But so are they saying you're okay as long as you stay on the reservation? That sounds like the 1850s.
Yeah, and also, who set up the reservations?
Yeah,
It wasn't.
government.
It wasn't the Navajo people. It was the
No,
American government through treaties. They moved people to these areas. They set these reservations up, and then over the years they gave them sovereignty to an extent. But now it's just this is. I have never seen in 7 days the total taken apart of an American government.
yeah,
Let's. I mean, just immigration alone, that's one. But dear God, why is the CDC not giving out health alerts right now?
right.
Why did they stop that? Why did they stop research? Why did they stop the National Institute of Mental Health from buying supplies for research? What is going on? Who did that? And the one thing I found out, a couple of creators who are tied to the medical community are getting these alerts. And they said, one of them said, the CDC has set out to hospitals, if they can, hopefully they're getting them, that if someone comes in with the flu, we need to test them for the variety of the flu. They're looking for H15N. Do you know what H15N is? Bird flu.
Yeah,
Bird flu is out of fucking control. There is a duck farm, I think in the Northeast, been around for almost 100 years. They had to kill their entire flock.
wow,
In Georgia, we have several poultries that are culling flocks. Eggs are ridiculous because there are no chickens
right.
and because they're dying of bird flu. And now bird flu has hopped into dairies. There is raw milk. They are testing raw milk and they're finding bird flu. And this is bringing us to the next set of fucking nominations. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who does not believe in pasteurization. How the fuck do you not believe in pasteurization? It's basis science. Louis Pasteur, 100 something plus years ago. People have been using this for a century and a half.
Yeah,
And now he's stepping up and saying that pasteurized milk is bad for you. And they're not kidding. I mean, in California, they're cracking down. They have to. And the worry is with the CDC is that they now have, before they went dark, 30 cases of human bird flu. And they're concerned that it's going to, and like all viruses, follow me, mad good chunks. This is called science. Viruses mutate. Viruses are living creatures that mutate to survive. The
right.
reason COVID keeps hanging around because you dumb fucks didn't get the vaccine, giving the chance for the virus to mutate into other forms, and they have to chase it down like a bad game of whack-a-mole. But
Yeah,
if this turns into a really bad pandemic, which it can, even worse than COVID, the reasoning I'm thinking, I thought it was just being petty. Now I'm beginning to realize there's something in the background here. And like Trump did the first time with COVID, they're hiding it. They do not want this to come out. And when it does, and when all of a sudden the hospitals are swamped, that's the only way we're going to find out. That's a scary thought, but this is part of the course for this insanity that is now sitting in the White House. And Democrats are just sitting there going, worried about their next fucking election. They have
yeah,
no balls. They won't say anything. Why was Pete Hesketh not allowed to go to the floor for a vote? That should have been blocked. No one has any balls. I mean, Christy Nome, the dog killer, is now head of Homeland Security. She shouldn't be head of Homeland Security. She has no qualifications. This
yeah.
is insane.
Do you think the Democrats are just sitting back saying, well, there's nothing we can do. let this shit pile burn to the ground and then we'll try to pick up the pieces afterwards? You think I mean, if that
No,
is, that's a pretty weak stance, but that's what it seems like.
I mean that could be their excuse. I think they're just afraid because the election to a lot of those people still punched them in the mouth, and they're just trying to figure out what their message is. Meanwhile, Trump is just rolling them up with all this bullshit, and they just won't say anything. The only two
Yeah.
people I've seen say anything is AOC and Jasmine Crockett, and the Senate is so silent. Why did Chuck Schumer let that fucking nomination go to the floor?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, they're this old school bipartisan bullshit. Don't give him the benefit of the doubt. Look, we've seen this act from 17 to 21. There's no benefit of doubt. You're doing it even worse. And let's make a good example why Congress is stupid. The rest of the world is not buying this shit. When Trump was first president, they thought, oh, okay, well, he's a buffoon, but the American system will keep him in check. Well, he got off the leash, and now they're not playing games with him. They are not going to find out what he's going to do. He's pissing off the EU with
Yeah.
Denmark. That was embarrassing. Did you hear about the call he made to number
Yeah.
10 Downing Street?
No, I
He
didn't hear
called.
about. I heard about the call to Denmark, and that got heated. That would have been an international
He went
incident
petty like he did with
under
Colombia.
normal circumstances. But what happened with 10 Downing
Oh,
Street in
he
Britain?
called to speak to the prime minister. He hasn't spoken to the prime minister of England. Um, he was not available, but they were laid out some. He was talking to some of the cabinet members in a call to 10 Downing Street to just kind of feel him out. And the reports are from the Daily Mail is that in the background, all the staff and the cabinet members were literally in tears laughing at him
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he went on one of his fucking campaign craziness, including windmills. They didn't know what he was talking about, and they just laughed him. They laughed at him. This is where we're at, and but see, the rest of the world is not going to put up with it. The rest
No.
of the world is not going to do. They are ready for his shit. And I am going to say this, and I said this in a video. I'm going to give this to maybe the end of February, early March, hopefully sooner. If he makes a move that's militarily, the world is going to slap international sanctions on us. They will cut us off. They will cut off economic health. They will cut off diplomatic relations. They will isolate us because they have to. And do not give me this. There was one creator saying that the reason he wants to go into Mexico to start a war is to drum up support for his immigration thing, so people want to pick us up like they did with the Japanese during World War II. There's only one problem with that, dude, and I didn't get to it. Is that for every provocation that the Japanese did, like, what Roosevelt did was wrong. He picked up citizens. That was wrong. Let's bottom line that. But the reason for the hate, Japan did bomb Pearl Harbor. They did start the war. So you're not going to tell me that Trump rolls across, uses the military, roll into the desert, and Americans start dying, that Americans are going to back him? Oh, hell no. He started the war. It's not going to happen like that. And that could blow up in his face.
I mean,
I mean,
clearly Donald Trump doesn't know what the hell he's doing, and he's being advised by his staff. And clearly they don't know either, because everything they're doing is counterproductive. Everything they're doing is pissing off our neighbors and our allies. Everything that he's doing is going to hurt us in the end. And people have to understand about Donald Trump. If you tell Donald Trump no or you can't, he will shove it down your throat and do it, no matter even if it throws him off a cliff. Unfortunately, we'll be right there with him when he does it. And that's why if we wait till he burns down like a pile of shit, we all may be involved in it too. So something has to be done about Donald Trump. And I would hope
right.
against hope the Republicans or somebody comes up with an answer, because this can't sustain itself.
Project 2025 is in total effect. The Heritage Foundation is advising Trump. If you watch all these things that are being removed, this is all Heritage Foundation on their checklist. Let's talk about the EEOC. They literally just removed the laws against discrimination in hiring.
Yeah.
And what was their result? What was their amount? We're removing 60 years of prejudice. For who? For
Yeah.
white men. This is just crazy. I saw a comment that I put a video on where someone was talking about, this is going to, affect hiring of people of color. And a person said, well, and because, they said, well, white people will work harder when they're not looking at people of color in the office like I do. It makes me nervous. Oh,
Um,
okay. I mean, and they are out and about. The fucking white supremacists are up and up. KKK is recruiting with letters in Kentucky. They're in the open. What is that? The head of the Proud or Oath Keepers was with Trump on a
yeah.
stage during this last little thing in Nevada. They are out in the open because it's because they know no one's going to stop them. That's the thing. Who's going to? I mean, they removed the immigration orders. They removed the EOC lawyers. They removed the DOJ department that handles civil rights. They closed it all down because it is back to 1955. The only thing missing is fucking Jim Crow laws. And I'm waiting for him to put out an executive order on that. It's
Yeah.
insane. Meanwhile, Congress is sitting there playing with their stupidity. They're not doing anything. And I'm not talking about the House. No, the House isn't doing anything either. He hasn't proposed any legislation. This is all executive orders. These are all pronouncements from a man who thinks he's king. There is no legislative plan.
Yeah.
They're just reacting to what Trump says. And in the Senate, where you have more power as a senator, they do nothing. They're
I
looking for
have
a middle ground.
I have to wonder if there comes a point when it gets so bad, and presuming the Democrats don't do anything, that the people in the streets just react. This is what I said before. If Donald Trump were to win, I'm more concerned about violence with him winning than if he lost, because people are terrified right now. People are desperate. They're looking at their future. They're looking at the future for their kids, and they may think there is no future. So when that happens, there are certain people that will act irrationally, and that's one of my concerns going forward. And you
For
almost can't
self-defense.
you can't blame them either, because if nobody's doing anything, if the DOJ isn't doing anything, if the Democrats aren't doing anything, people feel helpless. And when you feel, put it this way, if you back somebody in the corner and you got nothing to lose, they can afford to be crazy, and that's what we may see soon.
Yeah, I mean, we were just in 1 week until those immigration things going on, and they're stepping. Trump made a pronouncement that he's upset that they're not meeting, they're not arresting enough people, and he put a quota of 1,500 people arrested per day by ICE.
Yeah.
Oh, how? What are you going to do? How are you going to arrest them? I mean, what? I mean, he just made this quota, and it's like no one's. It's just. I know the presidency has power. But when did this become? I can do whatever I want. I don't. I mean, I'm totally at a loss because there's no one challenging this. No one's going into court and trying to put a stop to it. No one's challenging anything
Well,
with these
that's not altogether
things.
that's not altogether true. We were talking about the birthright citizenship. There's 20 some states that have
That's
sued
a
him, and the
concept.
judge came back and said you can't do it, and he's going to appeal it, but he's going to be too fucking busy anyway. A
Like,
lot of these things that he's putting out there are never going to happen, and he doesn't even really care about that because he just wants the image that he's a tough guy. But to make many of these things that he's talking about happen is virtually impossible. He's not going to change birthright citizenship. Just not going to happen. Not even the Supreme Court would buy into that because it's so ridiculous.
but see, I'm not just talking about. I'm talking about immediate shit. There are people being literally thrown on. We
Oh, I
know
know.
thrown in an aircraft and just taken away without any kind of
Absolutely.
fucking due process. There is no due process. Well, they're illegals. They don't. No, no, no. When you're in the United States, you are entitled to due process no matter of your status of citizenship. That is
Right.
the truth. And these guys are just, they're flaunting the law and no one is trying to stop them. And my one thing that bothers me is how quickly they moved, how quickly the DOJ moved to say if you try to interfere, you'll be charged. There's been something going on in the DOJ behind Biden's back for a long time. It did not take long for these people to move. And here
Right.
we are. And no one is saying anything that can stop it. There's no lawsuits. There's nothing filed in courts. These people are being taken away and just shipped out like cattle, and no one is doing anything. And what I see around TikTok, which bothers me, a lot of black creators are going, well, it's not us. Fuck them. Now, fuck them brown people. Doesn't
Yeah.
bother us. But you know what, guys? When they run out of brown people, you're next. And
Yeah.
that's the
Well,
thing.
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. You can turn a blind eye to brown people being sent out of the country, and it's not everybody worried about the prospect of him scooping up actual citizens, and that's happened now too in New
Yes.
Jersey with a gentleman who was a veteran. He got thrown in jail. This is this is what's wrong with this country. We have a lot of apathy, and if it doesn't affect me, I don't really care. Now, I'm if you were to take a look at the guy who's in the best position under these situations, it'd be this fucking white guy. I'm an old white guy. Uh, they're not going to touch me, but it still bothers me because I know if I allow them to do that, they're going to do something else closer to me or my family, and it's going to steadily get worse. It's like Russia going into Ukraine. You got to stop them there because you know Poland's next. And the same thing with our government taking rights away. Once they do that and are successful, then they're going to be knocking at my door and your door.
Yeah. It's I mean, I'm at a loss of words what's going on right now because I thought at least someone would stand up. Now, what's
Yeah.
going to happen? If he presses 1,500, there's going to be a violent encounter. Now, I'll be honest. The only way this is going to stop is there's a violent encounter or something involving children, since they're determined to go into schools, and someone fucking puts a film to it. They better put a film to it because I mean, I don't, it's, I've never seen anything like this. And someone put out a history reminder. It took Hitler less than 30 days to end the German Constitution
Right.
and install himself as full dictator. Less than 30 days. And, people here are just, I mean, in Germany, they are up protesting in the streets over far right because after Elon Musk, a little, speech there to the far right party. I mean, they
Right.
were in the street. Here, there's a line from the book, from the Handmaid's Tale, was that when everything was going on, when they were entering the Constitution and getting rid of Congress, no one was out in the streets. They just sat there and watching on TV and see what next happens. And before it was too, and in the end, it was too late. It was over. And I got a bad feeling that's what a lot of people are doing here. And I want to, which piggybacks on a lot of FAFO stuff that's happening already. One thing we have to understand the economic impact of these immigration rates. Now let's talk about the cost. It's ridiculous. $1 million per aircraft. That's
Yeah.
basically what he's paying. Is that in California, in the Kern County, they are down to 28% of the produce and fruit being picked. There are truck drivers saying that normally they go pick up produce, they have full pallets, they have half their loads.
Right.
A lot of things are going to sit and rot. Um, People are saying, well, I love the MAGA fucks going, well, hire other people. Well, I don't see white people running over there. And if they're hiring them, they ain't going to do it for piecework. They're going to want, in California, the minimum wage is 18. They're going to want that. They're going to want breaks. I mean, that's
Healthcare.
the healthcare. I mean, they're not going to do that shit, bend down and do it without being paid. Why don't they use machinery? One, it's very expensive, and two, you don't pick strawberries with a fucking machine. They can't
Right.
do it. It damages them. A lot of fruits and vegetables can't be done like that. Um, Pistachios can't be done like that. You know why? They grow on fucking bushes, on
Yeah.
hills, and you have to go in there and pick them out. You can't do that for almonds. You can shake a tree, but those machines are expensive. A lot of farmers don't have them. Same thing with a fruit. So let's bottom line it. You know, every excuse you have in about, I would say, 2 months, there's going to be shortages and there's going to be ridiculous prices. There are already ridiculous prices for fruit. And then, since a good amount of our vegetables and fruit come from Mexico, add in the tariffs, and if Trump decides to close the border and we have no trade, nothing. And so that's going to affect the food supply and the food chain. That's going to cost us money. And if it gets to food shortages, then you're looking at food riots.
Right.
What's going to happen then, guys? I mean, it's all, they're wanting some kind of world that doesn't exist without business running properly. Everything he's doing destroys business running properly. Um, everything. It doesn't work like this. And to watch those in the power states that could step up and start a movement, or at least make something happen to stop, sitting there just wondering, well, I don't want to do it because I don't want to get, put down, electorally. We're fucked.
Well,
And, go ahead. Sorry.
excuse me. The thing about it is the way this is going, this is all going to come to a head pretty quickly. This is happening faster than I thought. And that's a bad thing based on what we're
Mhm.
seeing. But as I've said before, if things come crashing down and people are hurt by it, maybe that gets us out of this situation quicker. We have to, apparently, with some people in this country, they have to suffer pain before they believe anything. And trust me, the pain is coming. The pain in prices, the pain in rent, the pain in shortages, whether it be oil or whether it be, I mean, because honestly, if Canada shuts off the oil, we're fucked, especially up in the northern part of the country. So if Donald Trump pushes this just because he knows he's right, even though he's wrong, this is going to cause a lot of pain to a lot of people. And then what happens? Do they react? Do they push back? Do they revolt? You got to wonder if a revolt's not in the too distant future.
I mean, the thing about it is like he's living. There was a psychologist that said the problem with Trump, he lives in a fantasy world that we have
He
to be
does.
part of. And if you don't exist, if you question the fantasy world, you're his enemy. And let's talk about the fantasy world real easily on this. Trump showed up to California. You saw that.
Mhm.
He did not call the governor
I
to
know. He
show
just
up. He
popped
just
up.
showed up. But Governor Newsom showed up and presented him. That picture of Newsom standing like a man and Trump standing like some kind of weird punch a clown
He
toy.
looked like a he looked like a protractor because he was at a 45-degree angle. And did you notice when Gavin Newsom grabbed his hand and shook it? He didn't let it go right away like Donald Trump typically tries to do, and Donald's
Yeah,
trying to pull it away and he can't. Oh, Donnie looked like a little bitch,
and
and he
also
knows it.
the one thing I always like, there was one video person put out. I didn't see it. At the inauguration, Melania Trump wore this ridiculous hat, and when he tried to kiss her, he couldn't do it because he bumped his head in her
Right.
hat. When Trump walked away, Melania Trump, whatever, walked up to Gavin Newsom, whispered, and kissed him.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm going, one, she knows good taste. She has good taste to see him because he's a good looking man. I'll be honest. He's a good looking man.
I wouldn't date
And
him, but he's cool.
well, I mean, but you have to acknowledge it. And I'm just looking at him going, oh, okay. And the thing about it, someone made a good point, is probably because he smelled better. He smelled better than
Anybody
Donald
smells
Trump.
better than Donald Trump.
I mean, but the point was like later on when they had him sitting with a bunch of people and they're asking him questions about what are you going to do wildfire. Trump went right to his. They just have to open the spigots and let water flow from Canada. He was right back to that bullshit. And the worst one, he goes, well, why didn't you use trees? Trees are full of water and bushes. Tumbleweeds are green before they turn. You could have used the water of them to fight the fires.
That
That is a quote.
what he said at that speech was absolutely off the fucking rails. I mean, he's onto this thing where he thinks there's water in the northern part of California up in the mountains, and they've been blocking it to keep water from Southern California, and all they have to do is open them up. What does that even mean? That's not true.
It
That's not
doesn't.
real. That's ridiculous. Some clown told him this and he exaggerated it. Now he thinks it's true. This guy is embarrassing. If I was his family, I'd go, Jesus Christ, Donnie,
Well, but see,
you
the
got to
thing,
fucking shut up.
we're an occultist. Going back to our TikTok with what the lawyer was that he called him a genius. No, it's a cult.
He's,
He's a
he's not a
fucking cult.
genius.
It's no,
Donald Trump has the mentality of a sixth grade kid. He probably reads at a sixth
but
grade level. Donald Trump is not smart. He's good at manipulating people who are easily manipulated. And that's what we're
right.
dealing with Republicans. These people only care about power and votes. The moment they thought Donald Trump could get it for him, they just did whatever he said. He's not a genius. He's ignorant. He's almost illiterate.
And and speaking of ignorance, let's talk about because I put this out on YouTube. People were jumping on me left and right on a Brian Tyler Cohen video. Um, so he got rid of the inspector generals
Yeah.
in the night, which was basically he's hiding shit. You can't
Yeah.
do that, and I know the inspector generals or our lawyers are going to pound on that on Monday. You cannot remove people like that who
Well,
oversight,
he needs to give 30 days notice by law.
right? And you got to have a good reason, and Congress removes them, not the
Right.
president.
Right.
And so again, this is overstretching the power. He wants to see if they'll do anything. They're going to stop this one, but that's an over. He's stopping oversight. Gee, what a shock, right?
Do you think
Um,
they will actually do something? I know there are some Republicans that are taken aback. Even Chuck Grassley said, which is fucking amazes me, you can't do that. Uh, you think the Republicans will step up and say, "All right, Donnie, this is
well, I
illegal.
don't.
This ain't happening."
I think the IGs that got fired are going straight to courts. They're going to say
Yeah.
fuck Congress. They're going straight to courts because I wouldn't trust Congress because they may be outraged when one phone call from Trump land and they'll toe the line. Um, they're going to go straight to court. But what my point came from to that is what's going on with Gaza when Trump, and you saw it, you made a comment on it, and everyone's made a
Hmm.
comment on it on tape, said that what we need to do in Gaza is to remove all the Palestinians and cleanse
Clean
the
out.
place.
He
And
said,
like
"Clean
like
out."
and my you went from ethnic cleansing, I went to history. And months ago, fucking months ago, I did a video on what the one of the Israeli defense minister said he wanted to take all the Palestinians and march them in the desert. I knew
Right.
that sounded familiar because that's what the Turks did with the Armenians in 1917 and
Right.
18. They marched them in the desert and let them die. And that I saw history said, well, that's supposedly happened. No, it happened. There are Armenian families, generations to tell this story. And Trump, it just took a page right out of that. And in the sense of, like Hitler said, no, I'm moving them to these camps for their safety. I'm going to remove them from Gaza because the place is torn up. We're going to do this for your safety. Now, all the other countries hate Palestine. They hate Palestinians. They're not going to take them. But the reason he's proposing it, you and I know it, because he has some kind of back deal plan with the Israelis to make that into resorts, because that's
Yeah.
prime beach land for
Let
them.
me just say this. I did a TikTok on this, and I was calling out the far left liberals, the
Yeah,
progressive liberals, if you will, or the radical left liberals. And I said, when Joe Biden was in office, you called Joe Biden Genocide Joe because he wasn't doing
exactly.
enough for the Palestinians. He had responsibilities because we are allies of Israel. He had to do certain things for Israel. Nobody sent more humanitarian aid into Gaza than Joe Biden, including fucking Israel. So you called him Genocide Joe. The election comes along. You either didn't vote for him or you didn't vote at all. Or maybe you voted for Donald Trump. So here we are. And I told you, and everybody's told you, be careful what you ask for because it's going to be a problem. Now, the ceasefire is in the works. And while there's some hostages getting released, I'm willing to bet that ceasefire is a little tenuous because I don't think Donald Trump cares about the ceasefire anymore. But this is exactly what Donald Trump said. He said, we need to clean out Gaza, send the people to other countries, and maybe put up housing or something. But prior to that, he talked about, well, this is a beautiful place. It's right on the ocean. We could put resorts in there. So what Donald Trump is talking about is ethnic cleansing. And I said, you far left people that didn't vote for Donald or for Joe Biden, this is on you. I've told you before, the blood is on your hands. And I got a couple of far lefts saying,
Oh,
I'm
dude,
tired of this shit. You can't do that. Somebody even reported me. I go, well, report me. So I appealed it and they said, no, you're right. I'm tired of these whiny fucking bitches that want what they want now and then they fuck up and can't be responsible for it.
And I made that comment on the video about the IG generals saying this is on the far left. You people did some kind of weird ass protest vote based on Gaza and whatever, or you want us, and here we are. This is on you. This is on you because if you assholes had not sat at home, voted for Jill Stein, and Kamala Harris got the exact same amount of votes that Joe Biden did, Donald Trump would have lost this election. But
Right.
no, you people, and I'll say this: the far left, the latte liberals, the majority which are well off, are misogynistic and racist too. In discussion. Don't fucking come back to me on this and say you're not. You are. Because if you weren't, you would have voted for Kamala Harris and you used the Gaza thing and the Palestinian war as an excuse to cover your own hatred. But let me make this very clear. This is on the far fucking left and anyone who sat on their ass on November 5th. Sorry, that's the truth. You can blame Latinos for Trump, blacks for Trump, but those votes still wouldn't have mattered if you had gotten off your asses and voted. And to all you Palestinians in Michigan who supported Trump, how's that taste right now? Because guess what? He's coming for legal immigrants too, and your ass is next to
Yeah.
get shipped out. So don't fucking say anything, and he will find you a home somewhere, whether you like
And
it
it,
or not.
you know what's funny is one representative that always did a lot of talking when it talked about Gaza and Israel and Hamas and the war and all that wouldn't shut up. She was out there yelling and screaming. Don't hear a word from her now. Rashida
Nope.
Tlaib, not one fucking word from her. She knows what happened. She knows why it happened. She should have known that before this all started. But here's the thing: people want me to feel sorry for Gaza and Palestinians. And I do feel for anybody struggling or being ethnically cleansed. I do feel sorry for them. But because of what happened in this country, we've got a huge shit show. There's a bunch of people in this country that are being marginalized, being hurt, maybe even dying for whatever reason, for abortions or whatever. I'm sorry, I can't worry about the Middle East. I got big problems right here. This is my first focus. And if all that shit happens, okay, I'm not going to dictate what my government does based on what happens over there. We've got a bunch of shit going on here. We better fucking focus on it or we're going to be just as in much trouble.
Yeah, and let's keep going down the rabbit hole of fuckery. Donald Trump froze foreign aid. Marco Rubio told as Secretary of State, God, that's just tastes so bad.
Yeah.
God, um, said that no, yeah, we froze all foreign aid everywhere, and diplomats are going, what the fuck? And the point is like that's if people going, well, we can't give aid to other countries till we fix ours. Well, first, you told us our country was fucked up already. MAGA. So that money is going to come back to us. You know that, dumb
Yeah.
shits. And two, that's a fucking diplomatic a diplomatic weapon that we use to keep our relationship good with countries. And guess where they're going to get their money from? China. The
Yeah.
Chinese are already moving in, kind of moving in. Just move in. Hi. Yeah, I know. Isn't he a bad man? Let us help you. See, the Chinese don't need the military to take over Taiwan. All he needs is Donald Trump to get pissed of Taipei and do tariffs, and Taipei turns around and or does something weird to him, and Taipei turns to Beijing and go, you know, that two China thing kind of sounds nice. You want to talk? You see that? So the Chinese are sitting there going, oh, okay, we don't have to saber rattle. Man's doing his work for us. The influence of the Chinese is ridiculous now.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. And take even an example of Red Note. People are, when Americans start seeing, well, I'm sorry, why are you only paying that much for food? Or you mean you don't need a car? There's trains everywhere? When they see how third world we look compared to China, which is supposed to be a dredge of a communist country, I mean, that sits with people pretty hard. The
Yeah. Yeah.
Chinese, that maybe they influence or not influence the election, but they got a fucking ally in Trump without even knowing because if he's just being himself. And they're just sitting there smiling and they're sharp and they're moving in. The Colombian president has already gotten a call from the Chinese the Chinese diplomats. Hey, what do you need? We support you. Shit.
Yeah.
They want
Yeah.
a footprint in the Latin American countries. Shit. I mean, that's the thing. This is going to be a huge loss for national security,
Yeah.
and Trump
There's
doesn't
no,
care because. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, he just
You want to
wants
say?
it his way. He wants to be right. And unfortunately, he's always. Here's the thing I find interesting about the foreign aid situation. And here's what I think he's trying to do. First of all, he's cutting off all foreign aid with the exception of Israel and Egypt. So there's some background thing going there. But honestly, knowing Donald Trump and his narcissistic behavior and his bullying tactics, I feel like he's pulling all the foreign aid because he's a transactional guy. And then he's going to go, oh, you want your foreign aid back? What are you going to give me? You're going to have to do this for me. You're going to have to do that for me. And then that's going to create all kinds of bad will with our foreign allies. He's just a fucking disaster. He's a destructor, as I've said.
And the problem is that his enablers think this is a good thing. They think that this is going to make America great again on their whatever line. It's not. See, the
No,
world
it's going to destroy it.
it's going. And the thing about it is our. I was just watching Midas Touch video a moment ago. A moment ago, and it was the British Columbian premier, not the prime minister, but the head of their province,
Right,
and he's encouraging his. And British Columbia is on the west coast. That's Vancouver, beautiful part of the country, and he's encouraging them not to come to the United States. Do not leave to Canada. Frequent Canadian businesses because we do not know what's going on. And for
right.
the safety of the Canadian people, we are recommending no non-essential travel to the United States. Canadians are recommending non-essential, do not do any non-essential travel to the United States.
That's crazy.
And that's in a week of him
But I don't
taking
blame
office.
him.
Yeah, I mean, and it comes from the speech where he's like demanding respect from our allies, like Canada. And he went to and we subsidize Canada so much. So we need to make it the 51st state. And what the fuck are you talking about? When did trade become subsidies? When
Yeah.
did relationships with our allies become some weird ass? connection to him that says that we should take them over. I mean, it's like I don't get it. Does he know how big Canada is?
No, I
I
don't
mean, he
think
has
he
no
does.
idea. Does I mean,
The thing is,
it's
you got to understand his
crazy.
mentality. He is a bully. So when he's a bully, he sees somebody he perceives as weaker. So he can go up and talk tough and they're going to bow to him. Unfortunately, that's not happening with Canada. That's not happening with Mexico. That's not
Did you?
happening with Denmark.
Yeah,
They're all pushing back and Donald Trump looks foolish in the process.
yeah. Just to put it in another historical perspective, do you know why the Geneva Convention was convened after World War I and all the rules of war?
Yeah.
Because the Canadians in the
Yeah.
war, they were committing war crimes. It's the truth. And the
Really.
Canadians, they're not holier than thou. I mean, we know about the controversies with the Indian graves and schools they found. They are nice people, but they are who they are. And the
Yeah.
idea that I mean, I don't. It's just insane. We're living in a weird ass reality of Trump's own doing, and there's people who think this is a good thing.
I
I
feel
don't
like something
understand that.
really bad has to happen before Republicans do anything. I mean, something really bad that is unquestionably disastrous, either internationally or locally. And then the Republicans are going, oh shit, maybe we made a mistake. Yeah, you think, motherfucker? You
Well,
knew this was
and
coming.
because the voters, his MAGA followers, are going to follow him to the end,
Yeah,
literally to the end.
the dumb ones will. Yeah, I don't think
Well,
Republicans will, but they've already followed them too far.
I mean, the cultists. I mean, literally, will drink the Kool Aid
Yeah,
or take or wear the Nikes and take the drugs, waiting for the spaceship to pick him up. It's just the comet to pick him up. Look for those references. You know what I'm talking about, people. But the point being is, they the problem with Congress and Republicans, they think they can still fix the crazy
yeah,
and
they
use
do.
the crazy. Um, and they don't acknowledge that this is crazy. They think it's a good thing that it's going to resonate with their base and they'll get reelected. And I just because they're tracking down brown people, and he's talking tough to them Mexicans and them damn Canadians, and who gives a shit about Greenland? They should. I mean, Trump literally said, "Why wouldn't Canada want to be part of the United States? We have a better health system." Oh my God! Oh my God!
Yeah,
Oh my God! I mean, I'm like, Americans are like going. I mean, honestly, if I'm Wisconsin or Minnesota or New York, and there's, hey, would you like to be a province of Canada? We got free healthcare, and we can put it
I'm
to a
in.
vote. Yeah, what do you think is going to happen? I mean, and look let me put it this way: Trump is going back to the wildfires in California. Trump is going to put condition on money and help. The Mexicans showed up in force with the army to help. The Canadians showed up in force to help Southern California and California itself. Why? Because California has an economic power and has relationship with both governments. And they did not hesitate to show up.
Right.
Not one moment. Mexican firefighters on the line with American firefighters, Southern California. They showed up in mass with their army. And that's the point I'm saying. Oh, yeah, Mexico is going to roll over for us. No, they will fight. See, that's the thing. Everyone else in the world has empathy and wants to help, except the man in the White House. He doesn't care about anybody. Not even North
No.
Carolina. You guys could say he's going to. No, he's not. He's talking about get rid of FEMA. FEMA. He wants to get rid of FEMA. And I saw that.
Yeah.
I'm going. My video on that was do it. Fucking do it. Get rid of FEMA. And when Florida gets hit by a hurricane or Louisiana especially, because you're every $1 you generate, $2 go into you from the federal funds that California contributes to. And California can really actually fix their own shit without federal programming, federal funding. They probably could get international loans. Hey, maybe they should just cut off the federal funding to the Treasury because they have to fix their own shit. How
Yeah,
would that
absolutely.
Louisiana,
That
Alabama,
that's
Mississippi,
But
Florida?
these people don't realize that. They're too stupid to understand it. They think the red states are highly successful and the blue states are welfare states and they're struggling. That's how blind they are. That's how stupid and misinformed they are. That is just not the case. Um, Donald Trump is going to continue saying the things he says. We know it's bullshit. We know it's wrong. But more importantly, the Republicans know it's bullshit and it's wrong, and they aren't doing anything about it. They want to hold on as long as it means votes and money. It isn't going to be until the disasters hit that they're going to bail on Donald Trump. But trust, that's going to happen. Donald Trump can't
This,
sustain what he's doing and not crash
no,
and burn. Not only him, but the country.
yeah, money. I mean, he's going to have to go to Congress for money. It's going to happen. You cannot spend $1 million a plane ride and all the costs
Right.
of moving troops and ICE agents. This is going to cost money. And then eventually the kitty's going to run out and you have to go to the House for money. And the point is, that's the thing. What happens there? Again, there is no legislation agenda right now.
No,
It's all
nothing.
reaction to Trump. Um,
And
the
that's how
only
it was when he
legislation,
ended his first term. He was too busy
yes,
fucking around. There was nothing done.
yeah, and here we. But the point is that he didn't do this shit. He didn't like go in there and
No.
literally just tear out the tile. This is literally going in there and ripping up a carpet, a nice home carpet because you can. There's
Yeah.
no there's the benefits are zero. And some of the stuff is just crazy. You know, like we talked about the health stuff. The EO, it's bad enough they did the EOs, getting rid of the EEOC, but the removal of DEI or whatever. But you tell the Air Force Academy and the academies not to teach about the Tuskegee Airmen. Don't talk about contributions of people of color in the military. Why? And I know why. I mean, with Hesketh coming in, they really think that an all-white male military is the best way to go because the Russians do it. Yeah,
Right.
how's that
Well,
working out in Ukraine for the Russians?
let me ask you this. The whole idea of not teaching about the Tuskegee Airmen, an all black uh, group of pilots in World War II that did some amazing things. And they don't want to teach the Air Force about that. What other reason than racism would you do that? I mean, it's stuff that actually happened. They were actually successful. It's stuff we should know. The only reason you would suggest not to talk about it is because you're a racist motherfucker. So every Trumplefuck that says, tell me one thing that Donald Trump's done that's racist, right there, motherfucker, that is racist as it can be.
Yeah, and the idea is that they want to because it puts white people in a bad light.
White people should be in a bad light in a
Yeah,
lot of
but
cases.
I mean, they didn't have it was a segregated military all through World War II. Why? Because one little secret I want to tell everyone about Franklin Delano Roosevelt, he was a racist. His wife was the one that wanted to segregate the military. He would not do it. That's a fact, y'all.
You
That's
got to
a fact.
understand though, back in the 40s when FDR was around, 95% of the country were racist because
Yeah,
that's
I
just
mean,
how the world was.
the Ku Klux Klan was for the 30s and into the 40s were a huge political arm. I mean, you
Right.
don't do a fucking New York. I mean, well, until Trump showed up and did it, Madison Garden, you know, Ku Klux Klan Nazi rally
Right.
without knowing that you can get away with it. Till Trump showed up and coached it in some kind of other weird shit. Um, that's the thing. I mean, the best thing about the Elon Musk hand salute And let's face it, dude, we all know what that is. It's not Asperger's. It's not he did what he did. We all know that.
Well, he was
Um,
born in South Africa, apartheid
yeah, I
South
know.
Africa. His family is a bunch of racists. It's not
Oh
that
yeah.
hard to believe that's what he meant.
But what I like is the MAGA fucks on TikTok. There was a lady who said, "Go ahead and do it and see what happens." And some of them did it, and they got. Um, there's a Pennsylvania lady at a board who's a member of the county board. She's gone.
Is
Another
he?
guy is gone. You can't do that because, contrary to popular belief, just come closer, y'all. Most of us hate Nazis
Yeah.
and
Well,
fascism.
I'm
We do.
absolutely prejudiced against Nazis.
Yeah.
I hate them,
Yeah.
regardless of what color they are. I dislike them, and I think I have good standing in disliking them.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like they think they did something. And we're all going, no, you didn't. And here's the thing you don't have $400 billion to protect yourself. You're a peon. And
Right.
this is what happens to peons. And that's the hardest thing to watch all this shit go down right now. The people supporting this shit do not have a pot to piss in. They literally don't. I
Absolutely.
saw
They're
one,
the poorest
yeah,
in the country.
yeah, and one creator made a good comment, a scary comment, is that they want to work us till we no longer cannot work full time to feed the machine. That's why JD Vance is on Face the Nation talking about we need to make more babies. That's why they want to get rid of Social Security and Medicare, all that, because when you're too old to work, you're worthless. So you need to die and be replaced. Education, so you get rid of that because you're useless if you're not a drone. See, that's
Right.
the point. That lady put up the point. I'm like, holy shit, because he's kind of right. Because what do we do? I mean, the American dream in, let's get honest, when manufacturing was king, and this goes in the 60s and 70s, they didn't talk about education. You got a job. You got a job. If your dad worked in a factory, you worked with your dad. You're like your grandfather did. You made money. You paid into your pension. You retired. You bought a house. It was all part of the fucking American dream.
Right.
When GE's new chairman came up and Milton Friedman came up with this so-called socialist economic thing, saying that companies that support their workers is socialism, and came up with the trickle-down economics theory. Everyone thought that was bullshit until Reagan put it into effect, and Republicans bought into it, and manufacturing died, and the American dream died, where you could build you the company was part of your life. Company picnics and all that because you were part of that.
Right.
Now people wonder why do people get angry? Why don't people want to go to work, go back in the office? Why should I care about you? You don't fucking care about me.
There's no
You don't.
loyalty.
There's no loyalty. I've been watching the Blacklist, the streaming it, the show with James Spader in it. It's
Right.
a great show because Raymond Ramsden's character is unbelievable, but he's a criminal, but he makes some points. And there was one scene in an episode with this guy that's trying to get information from the border, who works for the border patrol as a programmer, and he tells him, hey, I need this. He goes, well, I want to. He goes, you've been with the um, border patrol for 10 years, no promotions. Well, I'm getting promoted next week, 6% raise. I don't want to get that out of the way. And he told the story of how microwaves became were developed. They were developed by a radar technician who was working for a company to improve a radar, and he got too close to a magnetron, and the candy bar in his pocket melted. And he figured out that radio waves can cook food, and so he developed a microwave. And the guy said, "That's nice." But he goes, "What happened to the guy was the company patented it, made billions of dollars, and he got $2. for
Yeah.
it. And he looked at him. He goes, "You have to understand." He goes, "Well, what's that have to do with my situation?" Because you didn't get it. He goes, "You're loyal to the company, but let me make it clear: company will never be loyal to you,
Right.
and that's the truth." And the point is, anyone at one point in America, you had that. Honestly, it was a cooperation, unions, companies, but it changed as people began to get richer and the wealth pool became bigger and the rest
Right.
of us got less. And for a moment during the Biden administration, we had an opportunity to change the narrative, but we fell back because the poorest of us, the dumbest of us, didn't believe that we can be better than that. And they believed a con man. And now here we are. And he's giving them, and people keep saying on when this stuff comes up with FAFO, well, isn't this what you voted for? As sarcasm. And I will say to that, yeah, this is what they voted for. This is what they wanted. Remember, during the Republican National Convention, but the old folk in there standing up with signs that said mass deportations. You got it with all the economic consequences. You got Trump doing whatever he wants. You want a man to be king and not worry about legislation in Congress? You got it. It's all
Yep.
good. He's doing everything you want. And the point is, and we'll go back to why people don't believe history, part of it, why people don't believe the civil rights movement, is that they never felt the pain. They never felt the pain of discrimination. They never felt the helplessness of people taking from you and you can't stop them.
Right.
Well, guess what, motherfuckers? You're about to.
You're about to feel
And
it.
when that happens, at that point, I'm going to look at you and go, is this what you voted for?
Right.
Because I'm 64. I've seen the pain. I've lived the pain. I've seen it. You all haven't. Or you've lived sheltered lives. Or you just, your hate's still filled with yourself. You never thought it would come to you. It's coming. It's
Some
coming
people
with
think
a
I'm
big
some
brother.
people think I'm a bad guy because I've said before that when these people who voted for Donald Trump start feeling the pain, that we should be sympathetic and try to build unity. No, that's not it. First of all, I'm angry that you supported Donald Trump. And I'm even more amazed and angry that it took getting your ass kicked before you realized you were being fooled. You're not only complicit, you're fucking stupid. And there is no room in this country for those people. I mean, dumb people can try to learn some things, but when you overtly try to destroy this country, I'm fucking done with you. I hope you suffer.
But see, they don't think they're destroying the country. They don't.
No, but it will.
They
And then they're going to
yeah, they
realize it.
will. And they were sold a bill of goods. Um, and I don't, I mean, we talk about we've, many conversations we have, we talk about critical thinking and all that. And it's just, the problem is that the Republicans and the oligarchy and those in power have been working this fucking thing for decades.
Yeah.
Decades. The Heritage Foundation, this all has been part of the plan. Now the plan has come to fruition. One curator made a good comment is that right now Joe Rogan is kind of changing his spots.
Is he?
And yeah, he's kind of like backing away of a lot of Trump stuff and he's backing away from politics and stuff. Someone made a comment that even Candace Owens is not even getting into politics and stuff. And they go, and his point was when their shtick, and this included even going back to Rush Limbaugh, was counterculture.
Yeah.
The culture that we built in through the years, coming through the 70s and the civil rights movement, was a fairness culture. We were trying to get everyone to get a shot. Everyone a shot at the American dream. Respect your neighbor, respect your race. Don't be racist, don't be mean. Rush Limbaugh ended that, okay, because he saw a niche of um, white men feeling disenfranchised and feeling
He
put
saw
out.
the same niche that the Republican Party saw and
Right.
that Joe Rogan saw. Here's the thing about
Yeah, and
Joe
they
Rogan.
made money from it.
He can step back all he wants and act like he has nothing to do with it. But one of the reasons we are here is because of Joe Rogan.
Oh yeah.
Now that now that is stuck on him like dog shit on a shoe. You're going to have to get
Hmm.
down there with a stick and get it all off, and you never will.
But
Joe Rogan is complicit in this. I don't care what the
oh
fuck he
yeah,
says now.
all they are, all these podcasts and everything. Because the point was, and this is going into Alex Jones, the point was that they made money from this counterculture. As long as the base culture, democracy, and what we built for all those years stayed, they would make money just screaming in the dark because they had enough people to buy into it. Now they're not going to make money because why would you listen to Joe Rogan about what already is going on?
Right.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean,
Well,
they basically have lost their audience. They killed the golden goose that
yeah,
was
they
laying
did.
their
I mean,
eggs.
when we're talking about the media or Joe Rogan, they
Yeah, the
showed
media.
that they were willing to do anything to make money, the country be damned. And then now, when the country is damned, they're going, oh shit, I had no idea. Yeah, you had every idea. You didn't care. You were greedy. You didn't give a fuck
Right.
about the country or the people in it.
Now, here's the thing. Now, conversely, we know that mass media ratings are down. They're
Yeah,
losing money. Washington Post is bleeding money. The Times is bleeding money. They know it. They're not saying anything. We know it. The LA Times is bleeding money. No one is reading, doing their clicks. No one's watching mass media. Also, mass media is not covering the other stories. No one's covering the immigration raids on the mass media side. That's all local news. They because they're afraid of Trump saying anything to the mass media. But the point being is that the moment, and I'm going to bring this back because I think this is pertinent. The moment Morning Joe sold out to Trump is when they ended their careers in their money pipeline.
right.
As soon as the culture shifted to that, if you want to make money, you be counterculture. What's counterculture? Fighting Trump, talking about fairness, talking about race relations in a good way, talking about equal rights for everyone. That's counterculture. And there is a market for that now. People are looking. Why is TikTok so popular in our side? The MAGA side is not popular. It really
No,
isn't. It's dead. It's the same shit. The left side or the middle side or the people with some brain side is extremely popular. Aaron Paris doesn't, Harness doesn't get his followers because the MAGA checks want to yell at him. No, he
no.
gets followers because people want to hear something. Midas touch is something. Midas touch again, outstripping Fox News. Why? Because they're counterculture to Fox News now, who's become standard culture. You get it now, Nimrods? Now, if they made a move, they'll make money. I mean, Midas Touch just is 20, 24 million viewers, and Fox is 17. They are stripped. Fox is freaking out. They don't know what to do.
Oh,
People are not. You're keeping your same audience. Yeah, you're always going to have your same audience because they're never going to leave. But guess what? Your audience is dying.
I just want to bring something up. I heard other people talking about this before. I never saw anything official about it, but this is coming on Huffington Post. It says the White House says. Now, coming out of the White House, you don't know if it's true or not because Donald Trump tends to lie. He's a pathological liar, and all his cronies are too. But it says White House says Colombia agrees to take the deported migrants after Trump shutdown.
No,
So it'll be interesting to see if he takes down the Trump.
no, no, no. I saw that. I saw that report, and what the report
Okay,
is, he went because he didn't want those people to go into the system and go into camps. He said a plan to pick those people up. He said everything's going to stay in place. He's still doing the tariffs. He's still doing all that. He didn't capitulate to Trump. He went and got them.
okay.
He didn't let Trump lie. He went and got them. He gave them the dignity that Trump refused to give them. And he has warned him, if you want to deport people, I get it. But if you don't want to give them the dignity I just gave my people right now to come home, then it's on, bitch.
Yeah.
It's simple as that. They're putting this as, look, Trump was far and they capitulate. No, the
Yeah.
Colombian
That's what he's
president
doing.
took pity on his people and said, yeah, I'll pick them up. But he didn't let them land. Capitulation is letting the military aircraft land in Colombia.
Right.
No, he went and got them and brought them home, and he and the stand and the thing still stands. If you do the process properly, give them due process, and let them come home with some dignity. We'll accept the aircraft. They probably don't want. Honestly, if I'm a country, I don't want military U.S. aircraft landing in my country. Send them on commercial aircraft. The point is, that's not a capitulation. That's a man being empathetic to his own people and not leaving it in the hands of a fucking um, monster. That's what
Yeah.
that is. They're going to spin it as capitulation. Trust me, the Colombian government, as soon as that comes out, will say no. And it's still on. And if
Yeah.
Trump removes the
Well,
tariffs, great. Good. If you want to say you won something, fine. But if you fucking do the same thing, it's on. Simple as that.
now, at some point, if he hasn't already, there's got to be some international law that Donald Trump has broken. Now, while our own DOJ is controlled by Donald Trump and won't do shit about shit, whether he did something illegal or not, is there ever a time when international law, international courts step in and say, look, motherfucker, you cannot do this? Or are they just unwilling to go after Donald Trump too?
Well, they're toothless to an extent, even the UN. What will
Really?
stop Trump is simple: international sanctions, like we do on Russia and Iran. And I mean, if Trump steps over the line, like invading Canada or invading Canada, which is the NATO country, good luck with that, or going after Mexico or causing something overseas that's horrendous, I believe that there's going to be international sanctions, and all they got to do, the EU, all countries, literally isolate the United States, freeze assets in your country. That's part of sanctions. No trade, cut off. Canada can go cut off all power and oil. Mexico, well, on the border, will shut it down. International sanctions, financial sanctions will break. There's no international law that can stop Trump. Trump is, because that's our problem. Now, what the international community can is crack the economy to the point that people will finally get ready to rise up and go, we have to get rid of this fuck. Because that's the only thing that he's going to hear. Freeze assets. The short of him, the only thing he'll have left is, okay, I'm just going to nuke the world. And good luck with that, because I want to know if
Yeah.
anyone's going to turn the key with him, because they don't even fear that from him. Because I think they believe more that we have more safeguards on nuclear weapons than the Russians do.
Yeah.
And so,
And there's some question whether the Russians actually maintain that stuff. They have no money. So their nuclear uh, cash may not be quite as intimidating as we think. They use it as leverage, but they also have no money, so it's impossible to know where they're at with that. And the whole idea of a nuclear war is just silly. Nobody's going to walk into that. Nobody wins that. It would be absolute suicide for everybody.
yeah,
So
but
there's always been nobody stepping over those lines.
I hope not. I mean, but we have. I mean, with the Denmark phone call, you read the reports. He threatened military action. And that point, you threaten a member of NATO with military action. That's insane. That's
And you got
fucking
30 countries
insane.
coming after your shit too.
Yeah, that's the thing. If he gets to that, if honestly, if he does something against a NATO country, let's say he gets up on, one morning and decides to order an invasion of Greenland, starting with a bombing, then it's on. First of all, the NATO will make an action to stop him, and two, that's when the sanctions come, because that's what they'll do. I mean, they
Right.
would cut off the whole world would cut us off at that point if he
Right.
did that. There will be no support in the world for Trump doing something like that. That's the thing. MAGA people, the hardcore guys, think that America being an expansionist is a good thing. I literally saw some MAGA asshole talk about, I'm glad that we're now an expansionist country. We should be. Where are we going to expand to? Who's going to support us? I mean, they live in this fantasy world that is 1899, 1855, and we're the only superpower in the world. Now, first of all, the British were there, and they would. I mean, they still were a force. But the point being is, if you do something like that, the rest of the world will turn their back on us,
Right.
and they could cut us off. Who's going
They
to
almost have
Who's
to.
going to sell us anything at that point? And I don't give a shit what people say. Well, then the American people will support them. Support what? When you have no power, you have no food, nothing. What are you going to support? You're going to support removing the psycho. That's what you're going to support. That's the thing. And I'm going to say this: our domestic government will not do anything. They can't. They won't. The DOJ doesn't exist, like you say. The courts, they should move on it, but people are moving slow. Congress, some members of Congress on both sides of the aisle think they can manipulate this to power. But if he does something crazy and the international world says no and stops everything and cuts us off, we have no one to turn to. And then the people inside this country will have to decide, what do we do now? We cannot support
Yeah.
ourselves, people. We can't. It doesn't work like that. The world is interconnected now. It's interconnected. And and Americans have to ask themselves at that point, how much is too much?
Yeah.
How much is too much?
Donald Trump
And that's a
wants
scary
to
thought.
isolate us, and Trump fucks want us to be isolated. Just America. We're so powerful. We can do it all
We're,
for ourselves. That's what they say. If we put tariffs on, we'll just start making those things. You know how long it takes to get manufacturing up and running? Be about 10 years down the road, and we'll
yeah,
be already shit in the shit can. They don't understand that. And if they want isolationism, they are going to realize some real fucking pain.
because we are interconnected, and it's not a bad thing. The
No,
reason it became a bad thing is that because we let the wealth get concentrated in few companies, and all of us didn't benefit from it like we should have. But at this point, the idea of we can do everything ourselves doesn't work anymore. You can't do that. We are part of the world.
yeah,
And the idea of taking someone else's sovereignty to benefit us is ancient stupidity that a few countries do now, one of them being Russia.
right.
And even Russia doesn't want anything to do with Trump. They make fun of him. They
Yeah,
don't
they
like
do.
him. They don't. I mean, they laugh at him. He is not. I don't know where the idea of being loud and stupid makes you strong. Loud and stupid has never worked in one's life. I've been
No,
in enough bars. You've been in enough places and bars. What happened to the loud and stupid? They
they get
get
their ass
removed.
kicked.
Yeah, they get removed. And it's just to watch him speak now. It's weird because
Yeah.
it's all still campaigning. There's
Well,
no government.
it's so obvious to us that it's bad and he's a fool and he's an idiot. It's just hard for me to understand that there are people that think he's a genius. And I'm so disturbed by the fact that there are so many stupid, ignorant, gullible people in this country. It makes me wonder about the future of the country. We can't have 40, 50% of this country stupid and expect to get anywhere.
Yeah,
This is going to continue.
again, when we have these discussions, the solutions are far and few between at this point.
Yeah.
The solutions right now for us as a people, and I said this in a video when I joined Substack, and just I'm at Substack. I'm in Blue Sky. I'm on YouTube. I'm on TikTok. And the reason I'm saying that for my small little 2,900 people that follow me You know what? Voice, we can still be loud, very
Absolutely.
loud. Um, if Congress is not going to help us, no one's going to help. We're going to have to basically keep screaming from the rooftops and say that this is wrong. If the far lefters decide to get off their fucking moral high ground and decide to get down with us, I'm fine with it. If you decide to finally figure out that there's no perfect country, there's just us.
Right.
The United States was never formed as a perfect country. There's a great line in Hamilton when they're building the Constitution, and Hamilton is talking to Burr, and he's trying to get Burr to support him, and Burr is going, "No, it's not perfect." He goes, "We'll amend it. We don't need a perfection. We just need something that we can work with. It's not perfect,
Right.
and it's never been perfect. The democracy of the United States has lasted that long because it's never been perfect. Society, we've had problems, but with the Constitution, we've used it to fix some societal problems. We've always had. The amendments were designed for that. I mean, even go back to Prohibition, that was supposed to stop the scourge of alcoholism. It was a wrong idea. It led
It
to
didn't
worse
work.
things. It didn't work, but that was the idea. The 13th Amendment ended slavery. The 14th Amendment gave people citizenship and more rights. And the first 10 are about what the government can't do to you. That's the thing. For some reason, it got twisted that the Constitution was developed to help our society develop imperfectly. There is no perfect government. There will be the has and have nots. What you get a perfect, what you have is a government that helps the have nots try to get to the haves.
Yeah.
What happened is that people twisted the Constitution from helping to hurting. The Constitution, that's why if you're a military member watching this and you think and Trump orders you to do something that's unconstitutional, remember who your loyalty is. The greatest thing they ever did is to swear an oath to a piece of paper, the piece of paper that was the basis of this country, that's lasted close to 270 years because it's imperfect. It's
Right.
not perfect, and we can change it along the way. Dear God Almighty, that's the thing. You people on the far left want perfection, and you keep fighting it, thinking that if you protest enough, we'll get it. But it doesn't work like that because you fucking don't want to do the work. And the people on the far right want to use people's misery to destroy society as we built it. It's wrong all the way. If we stick to the idea that the Constitution helps build the American society, all of us together, it will work. It will work.
I'm
What's
hearing
happened is
people
that we've
ask,
lost it.
I'm hearing a lot of people ask the question, how do we fix this? And I don't think that's the question now. If we were to fix it, it would mean we were in the operating room and we were able to fix this. This isn't, we aren't at the point to fix anything yet. At this point, with what Donald Trump has done in this country and continues to do in this country, we're in the field, we're in triage. We have to worry about stopping the bleeding first before we
Right.
can fucking fix it. So we shouldn't take the whole thing on our shoulders and say, we got to do
Right.
this, we got to do this. We just got to stop the problem and then we can worry about fixing it.
Yeah, because the body is good. We're talking again the Constitution. The
Right,
ideas are good. The ideas are solid. I mean, you far lefters and people, don't worry about who developed it. Yeah, a bunch of rich white slave owners. Yeah, they did. But you know what? They developed something that was bigger than them. They didn't even realize it.
right.
They didn't. It became bigger than them. I think Washington realized that as he became president and why he insisted on stepping away after 2 terms. He understood the future of what it would be. I mean, he understood that their current president was wrong with slavery and all that. They knew that. But he also knew that it could get better. It's going to take time if we do it right. And the Constitution gave us that. Right now, as you said, we are. This is weird. I got a letter. for my new script service for my job,
Yeah.
announcing that you can get Narcan over the counter through my script service. You know what
Wow.
Narcan is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, to those that don't, Narcan is a drug that's used that you spray up people of OD to bring them back to breathing. May not stop the OD, but it gets them back up and running so you can help them. Brings them back literally from death. Where we're at is you're watching us OD on this bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh, Trump is ODing the country, and it's not good. We're staggering around. What do they always say about addicts? They won't they won't seek help until they hit the bottom. Well,
Right.
motherfuckers, we're getting there. We're
Right.
staggering around in the fucking gutter, and there was a I never forgot there was a movie that James Cagney did years ago about an alcoholic, and someone told him you don't fix yourself until you hear angels flapping their wings for you. And we're getting there, people. And the point is that when we hit the ground and we go down, the rest of us, our job is to use what we remember of the Constitution and democracy, shoot ourselves up with Narcan. That true patriotism and get back up and then we fix it. Because that's
Right.
the point. We're going to have to OD and hit the ground. And the
We do
rest
have
of
to hit
us
rock bottom, and we're
hit
close.
rock bottom. And the rest of us are going to have to be ready to do that. And the way we do it is not to let our voices be muted. We
Right.
can't let them mute it. That's why everyone's running everywhere else because they know. Why do people not want TikTok to survive? It's not because of the MAGA fucks. No, their time is done. People want to still feel connected. And Trump doesn't let you feel connected. He feels you're divided.
You know what I think, though? I think that a lot of people think if they can shut down TikTok, they can shut up the voices. But
No,
uh, with places like Substack and Blue Sky and YouTube especially, they aren't going to shut up anybody. They're just going to move them around. It may not be as localized on TikTok if they do get rid of it. I mean, let's be honest with you. Um, what we're like 60 days away from it being banned again. Now, Donald Trump is talking to Oracle apparently about buying it and working something out. But just because Donald Trump says something's happening doesn't mean shit because he's a pathological liar. But if TikTok goes by the wayside, they haven't shut us up. They've just dispersed us in different areas. The voices
exactly.
will still be there.
And the best thing about the 12 hours of dark is that it made everyone realize, okay, what everyone has contingency plans right now. Every creator has contingency plans right now to
Right.
what to do when they pull the plug again. Maybe that was the best 12 hours
Little
for a
dry
little
run.
reality. Yeah, dry runs. Okay, now, okay, this is what we do. This is how we stick together. This is how we all stick together. And if you hear that, and I think everyone knows that that means there's hope.
Yeah.
I mean, people talk and make fun of Star Wars, but one of the best Star Wars films is Rogue One. And when they're trying to get the rebellion to fight, even though it looks hopeless. I mean, hopeless. And one of the rich people said, well, one of the leaders goes, well, what do we do? We have no hope. She goes, hope, revolutions, rebellions are built on hope, always
Yeah.
hope. And even if it's hopeless. So right now it's fucking looking hopeless. This was, I'll give him credit. He wasn't kidding about shock and awe. God damn.
Yeah. Yeah. He
But
was
I
right.
think what's going to happen in the next, when you ratchet up the raids, something's going to happen bad and it's going to flash back. If you're cutting off the CDC, something's going to pop up. And I'm looking forward to the RFK hearings because if someone doesn't bring up his bullshit and why we shouldn't take the polio vaccine, then you're weak sauce. But that's going to be another thing that's going to pop up. So we still have hope. What we have to do is keep sticking together and don't be thinking that Trump is something that he's not.
Right.
No, he is not that. What we're seeing right now is the worst of a man sliding into serious dementia. And unfortunately, his fucking fame comes from a reality show. What he did was not business. It was stage bullshit.
No.
And so right now we're in his reality, and it's ugly, and everything is backwards. And 2 plus 2 is 5, and what he says goes, and it's crazy. And the rest of us are sitting there getting bombarded. What we have to do is all remember we stick together, the majority of us, and hopefully come up out of it. We may come out of this better. I mean, I don't know what's going to be left of this country, but
Yeah,
we can
definitely.
rebuild it better. Um,
Definitely.
well,
Yeah.
we're that way.
Yeah.
We just can't shut up.
No, we got to keep talking. People always say it's got to be something more we can do than talk. Yeah, there was something more we could do. Vote, motherfucker, but you didn't. So
Yeah,
here we are. Here we
yeah.
are. Here's what we
November
got to
5th.
do.
And that's the thing. Yeah. And that's why if you're on the far left, because the reason when I say what I did and I got that reaction, the YouTube comments defending what they did, like it's not our fault Trump did. No, 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 no. No, guys. It's time for you to take some fucking responsibility. I did my job.
Yeah,
I spoke on it for months. You spoke on it for months. Everyone spoke on it for months. We fucking warned you what was going to happen, but you didn't listen because you wanted to be on the moral high ground. And again, the moral high ground is cold and lonely and windy, and you're by yourself now. The rest of us are down here trying to figure it out. It's time for you to come off the moral high ground and say, okay, what can I do? And push with the rest of us. Later
right.
on, when we rebuild this motherfucker and you want a part of it and you want to bring your ideas, great. But get off that fucking moral high ground, you far left dumbasses, and come down with us and do not talk about Jill Stein or I'm going to punch you in your teeth. Simple as
Absolutely.
that.
We're gonna wrap up the Rational Boomer podcast and tell them where they can find you. I get that question a lot. Where is Will on TikTok, on YouTube? Go ahead, tell them.
Again, you can find me at Binder38US on TikTok, Binder38US on Substack, which is interesting, and Binder38US on YouTube and on Blue Sky, BINDER 38US on Blue Sky. Hit me up, follow me, make comments. The weirdest thing I have about the videos I get 400 views. Not one goddamn comment. I wonder why. Must
It
be
takes a
my
while.
sparkly personality.
Yeah, they're probably scared of you. They're scared.
Yeah.
Anyway, for those of you listening, thank you for taking the time to do that. I hope you have a great day. And of course, we'll talk to you tomorrow.